All right, Mr. Walker, we are live. Are you ready to kick this thing off, brother?
I'm definitely ready to kick this thing off.
Let's do it.
KTTV, giving you what you need. Motivation, education unleashed. H-Town representing, we forever keep it rolling. Join the conversation with inspirational stories. Thought-provoking, feel that energy. Kendrick Thomas aiming to lift the community. True indeed, tune in, come and see. Giving you what you need. KTTV, let's go. KTTV.
Man, I feel like Black Panther. What do you say? That never gets old. What do you do, KTTV? This is KT, and I'm coming at you live with another episode of Education Unleashed. And on tonight's episode, hold on. Woo, I have none other than the OG himself, your favorite uncle. I seen you running today too, man. I seen that energy. Mr. Mike Walker, man, Region 4. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing great. I'm doing well, man. Good to see you. Good to be on.
Thank you for taking some time out to come in, bring us a little bit of the work and everything that you got going tonight. It's so important that we take advantage of these moments because we got that time coming up, man, where people starting to apply, these interviews starting to go. So being able to hear from the man himself, man, I do appreciate you for taking some time out the busy schedule to come on, man.
My pleasure indeed. I'm excited to be with you.
Yes, sir. So before we get anything started, man, and jump into the show, I always like to do a wellness check, man, and just ask you, brother, how have you been doing? As you've been running around these districts, doing these trainings in different places, how are you keeping it all together for the home and family?
Well, man, I'm doing well. I'm blessed. My family is well. My wife and my son is 17. He's doing well. You know, my wife is an assistant principal. She's in her second year. She's doing well. I'm doing well. I mean, I've been busy. I'm working on my doctorate degree at Baylor. I'm doing the trainings, of course, through Region 4, but it's all good, man. I'm excited. I'm thankful for all of the opportunities that I have.
Most definitely, brother. Well, I know that doctorate is real, man. So I know my boy Cooks is over there getting it in as well. So congratulations on getting that thing done because I know it's right around the corner, brother.
Yes, sir. Just 2 more years to go. Just 2 more short years.
Hey, for real, before you know it. All right, so what we'll do, man, let's get into a little news before we jump into this thing. So let's go. Nice news. I always talk about the school voucher programs. When we think about the importance of where they are trying to take education versus where we wanted to go, we want to make sure we keep public funding in public school, right? Because when I was looking at the stats, I realized that almost in another state, almost 76% of the people who were voucher applicants were already people who were paying for private school. So why are we giving them the money, right? So what we have to do is we have to keep this thing inside of our schools. And so in our news, I always want to show you the importance of how things are building on the other side. And Governor Greg Abbott just got $6 million in December, right? And so he got this from dude named Jeff Yass. He's one of the richest people in Philadelphia. And so when you think about where that money coming from, why is this guy in Philadelphia working all the way down here, right? But when you think about who is getting that money, who is trying to maintain their richness, who is trying to do their thing, then this makes sense. And so it says he got the money December 18th. And so this guy is a co-founder of a Philadelphia-based investment firm, right? But he is one of the top proponents of school choice programs in the country. And so, man, over the last, 6 months, Abbott has raised $19 million. And so when you think about the importance of where the money is coming from, what it's coming for, people, we got to get out. We got to stay ahead and we got to vote, man. Mr. Mike, man, what are your thoughts on school vouchers and what you think we need to do going forward?
So I will just say this. It's the onus is on us as the public educators to keep doing all that we can to make sure that our schools are doing the best that they can. I don't know, obviously politically we see vouchers seemingly being more and more close to happening. But the key is if your school is doing well, if your school is thriving, then you can compete. That's the best that I can tell you. And I have some backstory there, but I'll just say that.
There we go. There we go, man. All right. So y'all heard it from the man himself, man. Shout out to Miss Alice Baker. Good evening, Miss Baker. How you doing? All right. So now what I want to do is like I say, anytime we can, I just want to hammer that thought in, kind of show us what's happening with that vouchers. As Mike says, it's looking closer than to not. And for that reason, like I said, it was voted down or turned down, a lot of scrutiny in 2023, but now those representatives that did turn it down or were against it, Abbott is now beginning to aim solely at those representatives. And so as he peels it back, right, things could be changing. And so that's why Mr. Walker said things are coming closer than not. So get out there and vote, people. Get out there and vote. I'll tell a crazy story, Ms. Mike. One time, we said we know that it's not going to be a Democrat, right? So then how do we get the person that's going to make the best decisions in the Republican Party for education? Dude, 1 year I showed up at the Republican voting station, dude, to vote in the primary. Say, man, when I tell you it got quiet when I walked in there, man, they say, man, what are you going to do? But once again, I was banding with educators who were trying to get the best because we was really picking the lesser of two evils. But I digress, man. All right, so now what we'll do, Mr. Mike, because I want to get that news. Let's take a quick break, and once we come back, we're gonna talk about this journey, brother. Is that good for you?
It's excellent. Looking forward to it.
All right, okay, y'all will be right.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the
All right, y'all, welcome back to Education Unleashed. We are here with the man himself, Region 4 specialist, Mr. Mike Walker, in the building. Once again, thank you, Mr. Mike, for coming on and giving us a little bit of the journey tonight. And so I will start, man, with, for the people that don't know you, can you give a little bit about your journey in education and how that journey has shaped your perspective on leadership itself?
So thank you, sir, and excited to be on the show. Listen, my whole life feels like it has been a part of education. I mean, my parents were both teachers. And when I came through undergrad, I was actually considering being a lawyer. And at the time, I actually had to determine a minor, if you will, in college. And so my parents encouraged me to go through and make education my minor. I actually wound up double majoring. And I started student teaching, and the rest is history. I really loved it. And so I wound up being a teacher. That being said, this is my 29th, I think, going into my 30th year. So I was a teacher for 5 years, high school social studies teacher. Then I was a teacher coach for 2 years at a middle school. Then I became an assistant principal for 4 years. Did that at the secondary level. And then primarily middle school. And then I went into the principalship at the elementary. So for some people, you say, well, that's backwards. You went from high school to middle school to elementary. But I loved it. I loved that whole experience. And then, of course, the last 3 years, I've been at Region 4.
Most definitely, man. And with all those roles, like, and when you think about that going backwards, how did the leadership kind of evolve, or those thoughts on leadership evolved, because you've been in so many various levels? Like, did it, like, how
Yeah.
did you
So
got
when I
here?
was a high school teacher, I thought about everything being departmentalized, because in high school, that's what it was. If you're a history teacher, you taught history. You didn't worry about math or science. If somebody else did that. When I went to middle school, I kind of saw that kids were a little bit different. High schoolers, a little more advanced, but middle school kind of in between, kind of halfway between being a child and kind of trying to get to be more mature, and just seeing that piece. Middle school was fun. It was a lot of fun. But as I wound up being an elementary principal, I think the biggest shock for me when I became an elementary principal was, the elementary kids like you. They actually come up to the principal, they want to hug you. And I was shocked at first. It took a minute. I was like, wait a minute, because I was used to, middle school, you have 5-0 and,
Yeah,
blue,
ops.
and here he comes, kids are trying to go the other way. So there was a little bit of adjustment in a good way in that aspect. But all throughout the journey, have learned a lot, and just continue to, I think my biggest focus has to try to stay passionate about the work. Yeah. It's important to be passionate about what you do, and every day thinking about when I show up and when I come through to do the work, that I've got to do my best work in order to meet the needs of the learning community, or in this case now the region, leaders throughout the region of Region 4, Houston area, to make sure that I deliver what they need.
Yeah, when I was talking to Dr. Dudley, she was up there this week at our meeting, kind of doing some work. So I had a chance to talk to her. Same thing, all about their passion. Talk to Dr. Alex, same thing, all about that passion. So I do agree, man. And so that was really my next question. Like, when you think about those insights of having that experience, right, and all those educators who are just striving for excellence in their roles, what was the number one thing? And I think you hit the hammer on the head, man. All about passion, like getting up and just loving it, and always remembering that why. Anything to add to that?
Well, and the only thing I could add a lot of things, but one thing I would definitely add is, in addition to the passion, you have to be a good person. Now, let me qualify that statement. When I say that, you have to have the intention of doing things the right way, of being the kind of person of integrity, a person of ethics, an upstanding person. And the other thing I will add is authenticity. You have to be real. You have to be yourself. I tell people that are new to leadership, don't try to imitate anybody. I think that's huge. Sometimes people try to imitate, somebody that they see that they think is a good leader. What you do is you learn from them the best practices of leadership, and then integrate yourself. One of the phrases I use a lot is, you have to be you in the work. Because if you're trying to be somebody else, you're not authentic, and people really can't follow something that's inauthentic. They just can't.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Look, that sound like some of them Jews you was dropping in that T-test course, man. It was some people. I don't feel like some people was even catching them, man. But you was dropping them, man. I'm talking like over, man.
Hey, I mean, I'm thankful. I don't take it for granted. I share the things that I've been blessed to learn from others and just from my experience. So, I try to share it.
25 years plus, man. Look, so when you're thinking about this, getting into a little bit of the leadership development, man, what can you discuss the significance, I guess, of mentorship when it comes to when you're taking that step and you're getting that professional growth, and how you all kind of step in, I guess, in your role in Region 4?
So let me say this. I think mentorship is probably underestimated to some extent, particularly in our current time that I'm, as I see things now. But I will say that mentorship has meant so much to me. I had a lot of great mentors. I still call them even to this day. I still, hey, what do y'all think about this? You never get too old to be mentored, right? Especially for people who you built that relationship. And you know, I have two to three of my mentors. I'm talking over 20 years. So and so for me, that's huge. Now, what I try to do in my role in kind of a small way is help to mentor folks with things that I know as far as whatever experiences that I've had or best practices that I can, you know, share, you know, about what in leadership, but in particularly educational leadership, what it means and what it represents. And I try to say it in a way that they can receive it. But in this current role, I interface with so many people. I'm quick to tell them I'm not really able to be your full-time mentor because there's just so many. But yet I definitely urge them and reach out, you know, to them to say, hey, make sure you find one that fits. And I tell people, if you've been assigned a mentor and that's not working out, you need to you owe it to yourself and your career to continue to seek out and find someone else who can mentor you at the level that you need to be mentored, because a mentorship has to be, there has to be a real relationship. It can't just be transactional. I'm going to meet with you once a month and I'm going to tell you some stuff or answer your questions. No, it's got to be that we have a connection, because, you know, mentorship, when it's done correctly, it goes deep into the work and into you as a person, and then pouring into you. And I think that just can't be underestimated. It's that serious. It's that real.
And the biggest piece, like you say, is you owe it to yourself and your career to, when it's not working, to take that extra step, right? Have that initiative to make sure you're getting the best for you. Hold up, Ms. Baker said, totally agree. Be the authentic you on your comment. Ms. Fanger, how you doing, Ms. Fanger? Thank you for tuning in. But yeah, most definitely, man. And when you think about that effective leader and that person that's getting that mentorship, what key qualities do you believe are essential for effective school leadership in that role as you interact with so many people?
So you're saying what's the most effective? In terms of being a mentor or
effective school leader. So as you think about the mentorship, and then you're interfacing with so many people, interacting with so many people, as you talk to them, even the people who call with questions, like that's why I want to know, what are some of the key qualities that you even tell them in those conversations to be effective school leaders?
Okay, I got, yes, sir. So let me say this. I have a lot of thoughts on that, but I'm going to try to bring it in and say this. I think the most important thing for leadership is, again, that you're ethical. I can't state that probably enough. I think it starts with being the right kind of person, somebody that people can trust, somebody who believes in what they say as far as their word being their bond. You know, if something does go awry, that you're honest and you share, hey, I wasn't able to do this. This is why. Being as transparent as you can be. Obviously, in leadership, there's certain things you can't share, but share what you can so people understand. I think beyond that, it's learning your craft. You're not going to know everything about, you know, every aspect of instruction, you know, depending on how many subjects may be taught in your school. But you need to know enough that you can support and help people to grow. Leaders have to be coaches. They have to be instructionally sound, particularly if I'm talking about an educational leader, right? But you have to have those components. But then I think beyond that, you have to be willing to grow yourself. You can't lead other people if you're not growing. You know, the old saying was, if you don't read, you can't lead.
Yeah.
I think that's real. And I think sometimes people miss that. You know, you should be studying something. You should be, you know, going to some training, some workshops, not necessarily just what the district prescribes for you, but what as you pursue, you have to be actively engaged. And I told somebody the other day, They said, well, Mike, my district's not going to pay for this training. I said, well, don't let that stop you from going. You need to invest in yourself if you can. I mean, I'm not in your budget or your finances, but I'm saying if you can afford it. Don't because if you need it, you need it, and you have to look out for your own career, and so you have to be very diligent and very what's the word? Intentional. Thank you. That's a good one. Intentional. You just have to be that because it's that serious.
Yeah. That's what I think about the podcast. Where I'm like, how good is it that for 36 episodes so far, I get to every week meet up and talk to someone like you. And not only do I get to have these conversations, they are recorded, so I get to go back and play them. I remember thinking about when people were getting ready for the principal interviews, and so they were going back, and I'm going to listen to the one about culture. I'm going to listen to the one about leadership or something like this, and I would get so many text messages. And so, man, I agree with that, and so I'm so thankful that I get to just hear these kind of situations and conversations over and over, and then that motivates me and preps me to go and find something, right? Because that was a word you said, because we get, especially in my role as the assistant principal, when you're thinking about doing it for 6-7 years, how comfortable, right? Do you get to say, oh, I can do this with my eyes closed? Right. And so then, but you always got to be looking for that next step. You got to always be studying, because even if I'm in this role and if I'm not growing, you're right, the people on my team are not growing. And so then we all stagnant. But man, awesome. We had to go and put the bells out for that one, man. Now, so thinking about the challenges. So we all want to be good at this role. We're all trying to get all the knowledge we can get. We got our mentors. But then I know that as you go around to these districts, you're kind of hearing some of the struggles that people have. And I feel like that kid in the class where everybody got the same question, but nobody want to ask. So tonight I'm going to ask, man, when you do move around, what are some of the challenges that you hear, and how do we address maybe one or two of these challenges that you hear a lot?
So one of the challenges is, shortage of teachers, and it's a real challenge. And then on top of that, to layer on that, it's also, the quality of the teacher that people are able to acquire. Even once maybe you fill the position, you feel like I'm having to hire a bunch of 0-year teachers that maybe have no real background in education. I know that's a really huge one right now. Of course, funding, budget, people feeling like that, funding is a big challenge right now. The evolution of curriculum and, a lot of the what you can and can't do, and how, curriculum has become a lot more maybe prescribed, if you will, even than what it was before, based on some, legislation that's come across. I think those are some of the big ones that I'm seeing. Now, I do a training through Region 4 called Recruitment and Retention, a School Leaders Playbook. And I wrote this training for school leaders. A lot of times people think that's an HR issue. HR plays a role, but you as the principal of the school, you as a school leader, you play a major role in the recruitment and the retention of your teachers. And one of the things that I say to people is the only school you have to staff is yours. Now, that might sound kind of funny, but what I mean is, think about this. Think about this. In any district, really, there's some schools that are staffed, and right down the street, there's another school that's struggling to staff. So it's not necessarily the community. It's your ability to retain and recruit the right teachers. And it can be done. I go into great detail in the training. Got to come to Region 4 to get the rest.
Shameless plug, man. Shameless plug, man.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about that training. It's a 3-hour training. Look for it on our page, but esc4.net. But yeah, I'm really passionate about that. You can find the right folks. You can retain your staff, but there's like 22 tips, specific tips that I give in that training. And here's the reality. None of them cost money.
Mm.
You just have to be intentional about doing all of those pieces. And we walk people through how to make a difference in your school, how to be that principal where your school is staffed and you're getting quality staff. It can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it can happen. Yeah, but because the thing is, that is one, that associate teacher role, right? And so then you think about people who come in, a lot of them think it's easy, right? And so then when they come in, it's that work that you got to put in. And so I remember at the beginning of the year, I want to say like within that first 2 months, we maybe lost like 64, 65 of them, right? And it's just coming in, getting that work. And so being able to retain even those associate teachers who are in it for the passion, who want to get better, I think it's a skill set, and so you really got to be able to have that. So if you have not, y'all better check out that training, man. Mr. Mike, I'm gonna have to check that out myself, man. You might see me pull back up on the Zoom or something, man.
Yeah,
Come on
man.
here, man.
It's very affordable. It's a 3-hour training, but yeah, just feel free to reach out to me. But I'm passionate about it. I've trained it about 8 or 10 probably times total so far. But we're going to try to keep putting it in the mix because I know it's an issue for people. And a lot of people are hesitant because they feel like, oh, that's HR. Y'all, let me tell you, you have to know your role as a school leader. If you're waiting on HR to do it all for you, that's not how it goes. They can send you the best teacher possible. If you don't know the specific strategies and protocols and skills for retaining those great teachers, you'll find yourself still in want.
Shot it in a midget on his knee. Come on, man. All right, man. So what we'll do, I wanted to kind of jump into, I guess, let's talk a little bit about those aspiring leaders that's coming up. It is getting time for them applications and that pool process. So y'all stay tuned. When we get back, we'll jump into a little bit of that. So we'll be right back. It shouldn't be hard for families to get the best education for their kids, nor should schools struggle to take care of their families. If a school uses the right systems, it can be easy to take care of families and keep your energy focused on your students. A school's relationship with the new family starts as soon as they apply. Why not give them your best from the very beginning? Align partners with schools to make sure that each family has the best experience applying, managing finances, and staying involved in their child's education. Align gives school administrators what they need to take care of their families, manage growth, communicate efficiently, and get paid on time. Learn more at alignmyschool.com. Oh, shout out to Align. Look, man. We love our sponsors. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for that. Jumping back into our conversation, Mr. Mike Walker, man, leadership specialist, Region 4. Brother, you've already dropped so many jewels. I think about our society and that go. And so how important is that 1 minute clip that will pull you in, right? And so that is what we need, because if I can drop you something right there and maybe intrigue you, or something that will help you for the next day, that's what it's about, man. So turning our focus now to our aspiring school leaders. And for those leaders, I guess the first thing out the gate is, what advice do you have for navigating the path to becoming a school leader?
So that's an excellent question, sir. And I get it a lot, like a lot. Walker, how do I become a principal, or how to become an AP? So let me say this. The most important thing is to seek out leadership opportunities. Sometimes people are waiting on that role, but you want to find yourself leading from whatever role you're already in. If you're a classroom teacher, how do I step up to leadership opportunities? Talk to your principal. Hey, Be transparent. Don't be an undercover aspiring principal. You need to get there and say, look, can I be a team leader? Can I lead, some other facet of the campus, or at least apprentice with somebody who is. Those are the things, because people look for that when you apply to be an AP. Okay, well, what are some leadership things that you've done? You want to be able to point to some things that you've done and point to impact. People want to know what impact you've had. A lot of times when people fill out their resumes, it's so generic. If you say I was a teacher, I wrote lesson plans. We know that.
Yeah.
What kind of gains did you make with students? What interventions did you do? And what are the statistics behind that? My kids increased by 30%. That's what you want to say. Not, I taught, 3 different subjects. Well, okay, that's fine, but that doesn't stand out. People want to know, what did you lead and how did you impact based on whatever you led? And then once you do that, then that journey kind of pushes you forward. So you begin to read. I mentioned reading again, but read and study and prepare. Go to workshops, go to trainings. If something is available that you can go to where leaders are, there are a lot of organizations. There's HABSI, there's TEPSA, there's ASA, whatever. Find some organizations that you can become a part of that will help you in your leadership quest. You need to rub elbows with some leaders. Be willing to pay some sitting successful leaders. Say, hey, can I pay for your lunch? Can I just sit with you for 30 minutes and ask you some questions? Those are the kinds of things that you want to be doing in that reach. And then the last thing I would say, when you get to the interview process, right? Be careful about, and this might sound strange, but I'm going to tell you this, and this is my feeling about it. Don't over prepare. Sometimes people try so hard to figure out the perfect answer for every question. Now, I'm not saying don't be prepared. You do want to prepare, but if you over prepare, sometimes you say stuff because you think that's what you're supposed to say. And in that moment, sometimes you miss the authenticity of who you are. And as a result, I've told people this, the most scary thing is to get hired for a job that you really didn't want. Now, you may want to be an assistant principal, but think deeply about, what kind of school do I want to be at? What community do I want to be in? You need to ask yourself those questions. One of my mentors told me years ago, and I'll never forget this. She said, don't ever interview for the job you don't want. Sometimes we see people, they just do blanket, every vacancy that is for AP, they just apply, or principal, whatever it is. They just apply for everything, just blindly. Well, something ought to shake out. I don't subscribe to that. Be careful, because if you get a job that you don't want and then you accept it, then now you're trying to figure out, how long do I need to be here? Yeah. You can't learn and grow. You can't thrive in an environment that you really don't want to be in. And then on the back end of that, I will say this. Also be careful, because if you start applying for stuff that you really don't want, just to kind of get the numbers or the odds up, then what happens is you wind up applying for jobs. And then if you are offered the job and you say, well, no, I don't want it, then you can come across as being flaky. Yeah. Then if people get to know you as, and even though we say, well, Houston is a big town or whatever, man, I'm telling you, word gets around. And people say, oh, I interviewed them and man, they flake. You know what I'm saying? You be labeled before you know it. So you just want to be real careful with that, because your reputation at that point, at this next level of leadership, is huge. Your reputation will precede you, and sometimes even earlier than what you thought.
Yeah. Come on, man. Woo! Boy, that's all right, y'all. We just gonna shut the podcast down for the night. That was drop the mic. Golly, man, that is a real one right there, Mr. Mike. Man,
look, I'm telling you from experience. I'm saying this because I've seen so many people come through the pipeline. I was blessed because I had really good mentors who taught me a lot of what I just told you. And I took it for what it was. And I tried my best to operate in that way. I cannot stress authenticity enough. Yes, you're going to be professional and be your best self, but still be yourself. Because sometimes when you try to be the representative of what you think you need to be, sometimes if you do get the job, they're going back to the notes saying, well, remember you said this. You said you were going to do this. You're like, oh, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, man. Wait, I was just playing, y'all.
Yeah,
Oh man,
you were so busy trying to get the job. And don't get me wrong, I get it. A lot of people are excited and they really want to get that first opportunity, but you want that first opportunity to be a fit. Many years ago, one of my mentors, shout out to Michelle Darling, she was my first mentor. And what she told me was, look, an interview is a two-way street. So even if you get to that point, make sure that this is really where you want to be. When you meet with the person, ask them, hey, what are your expectations? What is this like? Walk to school, walk around or wherever it is. Look around and kind of see what the environment is and see if that's a match for you. That's really important. Or to see what you're getting into, Go in with your eyes open, in other words.
Man, Ms. Baker say I'm a firm believer and invest in myself. And she said, great job. I'm not in the school system. However, I gained some nuggets. So thank you. I look.
Elder Baker is a wonderful person. She is a member of my church, and I'm so glad she's on. She's actually leads one of the teams that I'm on, and so we're thankful. She's an awesome leader. She's very humble, but an awesome leader.
Shout out to Ms. Baker for pulling up on us tonight. And I agree. So many nuggets. And so we just keep rolling, man. So now, thinking about those skills, you said two things that really resonated with me, man. Last year, I put in my application and I thought about my resume. And so I was in Inspiring Principles 1. And so we didn't kind of look at a deep dive into the resume. She gave us some kind of templates, but no one really came back and went over it. This year in Inspiring 2, shout out to Dr. Shaw. She actually took it and went over it, right? And gave me the feedback. And one of the biggest things, she said, well, you've done so many awesome things, but right now, I don't know what was the impact. What was the outcome? So that's what I did this year, was kind of going back and retailoring it, thinking about all the programs, thinking about the importance of it, but also what was that impact? So that was one big thing that I was able to go back in. And so even when I was talking to people the other day, it was still coming from a place of what was the impact on it? How are we doing that? And so, that was it, man. And the next piece was the importance of, like you say, taking that leadership roles all the way before you get to the job, before you get to the interview. Like, what did you do? And so this year, dude, I took on so many district roles. I'm stressed out. But the thing is, inside of that interview, I have now, those leadership roles. I got the evidence and I have the impact. And I think that's what's important. So when you think about navigating to that journey, I do believe those are essential pieces of it, brother. So thank you for that, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. So now, when you think about your role in Region 4, and I don't know if a lot of people, because you talked about the training as far as retaining recruitment. So how does your role contribute to that leadership development in schools from your aspect of Region 4?
So what we do is a couple of pieces. Of course, we have some mainline trainings that we do. Most people probably know us for T-Test and AEL, right? Or perhaps SLO or T-PES. We train on those things for school leaders that are required trainings, right? But we do a lot of other training for leaders. That's just one of the trainings that I do. I wrote another one called Leading with Soul, which is based on a book that was actually written some years ago, giving credit to the authors there, and Terry Deal was one of the authors of Leading with Soul. Another guy by the name of Bowman, and they're just a really great book. And so we talk about there are 4 aspects of leadership, right? Or 4 types of leaders. You have relational leaders, which this book kind of really dives into. You also have visionary leaders. You have strategic leaders, and you have operational leaders. I'm actually in the process right now of writing a training on strategic leadership. I'm really excited about. It'll be coming out soon. And then hopefully from there, I'll go back and write one on visionary and operational. But you need all four. And most leaders are going to have, a bent to one over the others. But the idea is balanced leadership. If whatever you are as the principal, you want the people around you to kind of help you exemplify some of those others, right? As a school principal, primarily my biggest strength, I feel like, was relational leadership. And so probably my next one beyond that was probably strategic leadership, which I grew into. Now, when it came to operational leadership, I understood what it was. I knew how to operate, but I would look for people who were really good with that, because I wanted, that person that could tell you, hey, Walker, we need another fire drill within the next 2 days or whatever. You hire somebody on your team that's really good with some of those little details, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that now your leadership is balanced, and the programs that your school is putting forth are going to go forward a lot better because you've considered all of that. You got to be careful not to hire yourself.
Yeah.
If you hire everybody who's just like you, then what you wind up doing is leading with a blind spot.
Most definitely.
Because if everybody's doing exactly what you do, that's a problem.
Yeah, man.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes new leaders, it's a mistake that new leaders make. You want everybody to be like you. Well, you need some other people who balance you out and can help you to see, okay, Walker, that sounds good what you said, but have you thought about this? And then you have to make sure you don't kill the messenger. Sometimes if we're not careful, we'll kill the messenger. If somebody says something we don't really want to hear, sometimes that's the most important thing you do need to hear. And you need to discipline yourself to be able to hear things that you may not want to hear for the betterment of your school and your organization.
Yeah, man. That thing makes me think about those discussion protocols, thinking hats, right? And so either we'll sit and we'll do our thinking hats, or we'll do our 2 cents. And so then, but you got to be ready for it. And so, but that is one way we did it. And then I think about the team that we comprised over my elementary stint. It was so many different people, right? So sometimes it would be so much passion till it'd be hard to everyone, man. I mean, it'd be tense, but everybody's coming from a different perspective. And the thing was, even with what was said, it was always assumed it was positive intent. And so with that, we were able to kind of come up with some of the responses. And we really, like I said, when you think about results, going from a D or a C to an A, and what it takes, right? So that's pretty much it.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty much it. So let me see here. Ms. Baker say, love that. Be careful not to hire yourself. Look, I'm telling you, don't kill the messenger. Amen. All right.
And sometimes it's easy to do. I mean, you know, but you shouldn't.
Yeah, it's easy. It's comfortable though, and comfortable is not always good. Right. Shout out to Whitfield's World. Okay, we in the building, man. So, Mr. Mike, I just wanted to say thank you, man. As we kind of cover some of those pieces, can you tell us where we can find some of the information? How do we reach out to you to get into the trainings? Give us all that.
So for where we're concerned with Region 4, ESC, I guess maybe I can put it in the chat. Let's see.
Okay.
ESC4.net/lead dev, which is leadership development. That's kind of our primary piece on the webpage. As far as my email address, I'll throw that in the chat as well for work. Michael.walker@esc4.net. And I mean, you can reach me there, but I'll also put my office number in the chat. 713-744-6356. But yeah, you can reach out to me there. Any of and as far as going to the web page. Now, I will tell you, whatever you do, follow us at R4 Leaders on X, formerly Twitter.
Hey,
because at R4 Leaders on X, formerly Twitter, follow us there. That's our X. I'm still getting you saying X, but our X page, if you will. And then, if anybody just wants to follow me, my page is kind of not too different from that one, other than I just add in, maybe a little bit of personal, pretty generic, but, things maybe with my family or whatever. But you can certainly follow me as well. But I'm real big on X, formerly Twitter. I love that. I'm also on Facebook and all that. But most of the time, my heavy content, I tend to put it on X, formerly Twitter. So, yes.
That's it, man. I appreciate you, man. So what we'll do, we'll take a break. And when we come back, we'll get into a little bit of this rapid fire with Mr. Mike. I got some good questions. So he's seen a little bit of these questions beforehand for the interview, but he don't know nothing about these. Y'all stay tuned. We put a pop out on him. All right. We will be right back.
See the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and
the welcome back to Education Unleashed. Look, if you have not been to kttv.com, make sure y'all get there, man. We got merch. We got the book online. And I still got the bundles. This walk, I wrote a book called A Pencil is the Least of My Worries. I think about we was in there with Dr. Dudley and Dr. Marsha, man. I gave her the books because that was my first meeting I was at since I kind of was giving them out and kind of doing the promo. So I gave her the books, and it was just something on the slide, But then all of a sudden, she said, "Well, did you give this in celebrations?" I say, "No." Here we go. So now she brought the books up. Everybody know I got the books. But when you think about campuses that are maybe 98% other than African American, but your population is 88% African American, how do we bridge that gap? Right? What do we do? How do we teach those teachers empathy versus sympathy when they are talking to those kids? And so this book, me and Kafele was, man, I talked to him, he inboxed him, he came on the show. And so then we just talking about this. And so my boys club way back in 2015 became from the book of him motivating minority males to achieve, right? And so ever since then, we just been keeping that going. So, man, if y'all have not, make sure y'all get it. But now, let's jump into a little bit of this rapid fire.
Go hard, or go home, go home, go hard, or go home.
All right, look, Mr. Mike, we are going to go through this rapid fire, and I told you my reason for this is I don't like to talk about education in this segment. We talk about some of the other things outside to show people, regardless of how much we talk about this leadership, how often you see us at the school park there, we're still human. We still do other stuff too. When a kid said, "Man, you shop at Walmart?" He was really surprised that I was in Walmart. So I always like to show that human side, man. So we'll go through 10 questions. Don't think about it. Just react to it. That's what my friends say when I'm lifting 315 pounds with bench press. Don't think about it. Just react to it. So if you could have any superpower for the day, what would it be?
I love to fly.
Oh, hey, there you go, man. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
Probably something from Rocky. I don't know. I'm nerdy like that, but I really like the Rocky songs.
Come on, Eye of the Tiger, man.
Eye of the Tiger. Yeah, I love that. I just do. I don't know. It does something
if you could travel back in time, what era would you visit?
Probably maybe the 1800s. It's something about that. I would love to see that live and in color.
Come on, man. Pizza or tacos?
That's a tough one. I love both. If I just had to choose, I'd probably say pizza.
Pizza? Come on, man. I don't know, man. I'm tacos, man. I'm chocolate, man.
Yeah.
All right. What's the most unusual talent you have?
Ooh, most unusual talent?
I told you, man. We gonna know more about you tonight, man.
That's a good. I really don't think very often about any unusual talents that I have. I might have to pass on that one. Not that I don't want to share. I can't think of anything.
Okay. If you're a character in a movie, who would it be?
Oh man. Wow. I think I would like to be something that James Earl Jones was, man. I just love how he acts and his voice and his demeanor and just his whole essence, man. I would love to have that deep voice that he has and the presence that he has on stage. I probably anything he was in. The Field of Dreams, man. I love that movie. He played in that movie. I could see that.
Yeah, man. I was thinking about Mufasa. Come on, man.
Yeah, now he was the man with Mufasa too, man. You know what I'm saying? He just has that presence.
Yeah, man. Beach vacation or mountain retreat?
Beach vacation for sure.
Okay, give me a little tan on, man. If you could meet any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Wow. Well, hopefully one day we'll have it. I'd love to meet Jesus the Christ.
Hey,
outside of him, do they have to be alive or you talking about somebody that's alive now?
Yeah. Wait a minute. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably. I would like to meet Barack Obama.
You know, hold on, wait a minute. I can't get my camera. Can you see me, man? I can't see my
Not now. It's just like it's spinning. I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Wait a minute. That's how it be when you do that live. Don't tell them what you gonna get. Okay, wait a minute. I'm finna okay, I don't know what. But we gonna keep on rolling, but because we got
no worries. I can hear you just fine.
What is your guilty pleasure TV show or movie? Ooh,
man, probably movies. I like movies that are real inspirational. That's what I kind of enjoy. I even like animated movies to a great degree, probably more than the average adult, especially if they have a message. So I mean, any of those. If I just had to pick one, I mean, one of the ones that's probably maybe some people would see as cheesy, but I love is Rudy.
Come on, man!
I love that movie about the football player in Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame. Yeah, that's a classic.
It's just something about it, the underdog. People never believed in him. I like those kind of movies.
And I'm gonna say, I think we're gonna pull from this movie. I already can feel this answer. But the last question for rapid fire: if you had a theme song that played whenever you entered the room, where would it be?
Oh wow. I think it might be Eye of the Tiger. I really do. I'm not gonna lie, man. If I just had to, I mean, that might sound cheesy to some people, but I mean, I'm all about let's do this. Let's get it done. Let's go after it. Let's give it everything we've got. That's kind of who I am. So maybe that's why.
Man, I can dig it. All right, y'all. That was our rapid fire. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to break real quick, and then I'm gonna figure out how to fix this camera thing, and we're gonna be back rolling. So we'll be right back.
You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the
Damn, talk about how you make it happen around here. This is what we do, man. We got to be able to adjust on it, man. So look, man, I want to appreciate you, Mr. Mike, for coming through, talking about the work that you've been doing, the work at Region 4. I try to keep this thing to under an hour, so we had a little too much fun in our interview. So what we'll do is we'll save our parent-teacher corner for next week because what we dropped tonight was so very effective, man. So I appreciate you once again for taking some time out of the schedule. And please know, anytime you need to come back, talk about some trainings, get anything out, brother, the door is open. Please come back and talk to us about it. I know you say you're working on a few new ones. So if you can come back and give us that overview, we will be waiting, man. So any last words before we close this thing out?
I just want to encourage all aspiring leaders. If you're aspiring, keep aspiring. Go after it. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. If it's in your heart and it's really what you want to do, you're ready to do that work, go do it. I see so many people say, well, I was thinking about it. Go after it. Go after it.
That's what we're going to leave with right there, y'all. Go get you some. Hey, that's why I used to tell my football players, man, when I coach, go get you some, man. Get out there. So y'all, well, look, if you did not catch the entire episode, please make sure you go back, kttv.com. You can go grab that. If you have not went, go grab you some merch, go grab you some books, anything that you have. We got a little bit of everything on there. Always, look, get there. Go get you some. All right, man. I want to say once again, thank you, Mr. Mike. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. Shout out to Miss Baker. Look, God bless you, Miss Baker, at the church house. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. What we will do is we will get out of here, and I will see y'all next Thursday. Oh yeah. We got Speaking of it, we're gonna roll over to HISD next week. We're gonna talk to Dr. Jeffrey Hill, and we're gonna see a few things, man. So y'all make sure y'all get locked in right now. We are out of here. This is KT for KTTV signing out. 100.
This is Darnell with Broadcast Houston.
This is Dr. Tamara Beckford.
Hey, this is Candace.
This is London Underwood.
This is Kirsten Bass with Inner City Greens, and you're watching.
Y'all are now tuned in to
KTTV.
KTTV.